in KBM versus Cruzeiro. No subs this game, so whew.
Yeah, a much more, stable sort of start here. A rumble to kick things off, which is to me a bit of an interesting decision to take that off the table here. I'm assuming that's targeted at Trucklex or
I'm gonna translate this for the chat right now. RMC doesn't like the Rumble ban.
Pretty much. You can hear me
Yeah.
equivocating a little bit because I'm not sure who that's targeted at. Truckslack has been playing tanks the entire time. Nosferus is known to be more of an assassin style player, or Azir more recently has been his sort of poison of choice here to try and carry the team, put pressure early and carry late here. So the Azir ban, that to me makes sense. The Rumble, I maybe it's something in scrims. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and that's actually the other thing is that we mentioned going into week 4, going into week 5, who we would bet on. The fact that we have whole weeks off in between, 5-day working weeks, where these teams do get the opportunity to scrim, actually gives us a lot of growth in between these best of ones. So I am very excited to see how Cruzeiro have continued developing, and maybe how KBM have addressed some of the weaknesses that they showed us last week. Right now, we do have a Zoe band to finish us off, as well as a Yona named Zoe. Oh my god, why is this champion? Whatever. And we are going to get the first pick for KBM. I'm surprised it's not a top lane
Wow.
priority.
I'm surprised it's not Pantheon. Pantheon, this is only the second time we've seen Pantheon not banned here. And we didn't see it first picked, and it doesn't even look like Cruzeiro is
Wow.
prioritizing it. Is it okay? My mind's blown. Dear, I thought coming into game two, like we had chaos in game one. I was thinking game two would be a lot more standard. Cruzeiro not known to be kind of wild with how they play the game, and Kaboom has been consistent in their style. But it's not happening, Dia. What's going on?
Pantheon perma pick ban for the first 4 weeks. We get to week 5, trash pick. Don't touch it. Don't. It's not even worth putting on your bans list right now. Oriana also not really ban worthy. Neither is Hecarim, interestingly enough, but they're both being first rounded.
The Lilia Hecarim is a pick. It's a matchup we saw a lot of, but it was at the end of season 10. And since then, picks like Udyr, another champion that's been 100% presence in week 4, was available. They've just completely abandoned it here. And we're seeing another Kaisa
I
Zaya
don't know,
matchup.
man.
Yeah, like I like the Zaya when you've got a heavy dive comp coming to you and you're not going to protect it, but you have the Oriana. I feel like Aphelios would be fine as well at this point in time. Does out damage, but Kaboom, they've evidently made some big changes here to how they wish to play the game. The Leona picked up for Cruzeiro here. I like it. Rel isn't on the table right now because Leona was the last pick in round 1, and the bans are coming out. I expect to see some support bans to try and keep Professor down.
Yeah, this is something that I know that we wanted to bring up going into this game. Professor taking away something that can initiate, that can roam as well as Rel can, and I expect as well as Leona can, that Hawk is so aptly taken away, is going to be really big. But the jungle matchup that has already been locked in for the side of KBM and jungle support for Cruzeiro is really what we're looking at right now.
Especially since a stat that we had brought up was the fact that right now, in terms of kill participation, Kaboom is number 2 and number 3, with Professor at number 2, Ryan at number 3. They've been working together so well. But surprisingly, number 4 right now is actually tied between Sting and Hawk for Cruzeiro. So their jungle support pairing does work together a lot as well. I like the Alistair band, the Rel bands. That's
Mm-hmm,
just to try and
mm-hmm.
give Hawk a better matchup because both of those roam extremely heavily. Both of those hard counter Leona a little bit here. So they've already targeted sort of the second KP for Kaboom. They're really trying to stifle Kaboom's early game action here. And I like the decision. I'm just not sure it's going to be sufficient.
Yeah, let's see if it works out. We still have a few picks that can come in, and we honestly could see Professor just opt for full lane dominance right now. It would be difficult into something like a Kaisa Leona, but if you pick up something like a mage support, I know they aren't meta, but it would be nice to see. You like the set pick though, eh?
Yeah, I do because we're talking about banning supports, and I was like, what's left on the table right now for Professor in terms of tanky supports to try and match the Leona? I was thinking maybe a like Shen or Galio or Set is all I can really come up with. And I don't actually like the Galio into Leona. So the fact that the Set gets picked up is narrowing it even more for Professor. And really, I'm starting to think like what you mentioned, Dia, maybe enchanters are what's left here in terms of options.
I honestly wouldn't hate it right now. He'd get the opportunity um, to try and play a totally different style to show us a new face and maybe
Mhm.
even get Everett significantly ahead because if you aren't getting these early gold injections, if you aren't really outclassing your lane opponent, you're just going to get outscaled. But instead, he does go for the hard initiation. Another good roamer. You can't take him all away. Nautilus gets locked.
The problem is Leona is a counter to Nautilus. So this is not the ideal matchup for Professor here. I do expect him to actually abandon Desabe quite a bit and
Mm.
instead just look for the roams, potentially punish the mid lane. We didn't touch on the Nar pick, but I'm happy to see it. I feel like I need a bit of a palate cleanser after game one when
Mm-hmm.
Kiari tried to play it here. And like I said, Parang,
Mm-hmm.
Wiser, those are some of the few people who've actually, what on earth have actually done it? Vlad pickup. I believe this will be the first time we see it this season here.
Oh my lord, we're getting a Vladimir, and I could not be more excited. I have seen this pick cropping up more and more, but not just yet in competitive. This is a fun one to say the least. I hate when he's meta, but when he can come in, when he can spice up your life, I like it quite a bit. And actually, it seems like the lane assignments are pointing us towards a set mid as well. So we're gonna get a
Yeah.
taste of team fight from Cruzeiro.
I So when you pick up Vladimir here, you do often want to pair it with another sort of big AoE damage threat just to be able to amplify it because Hemo Plague is a damage multiplier. By itself, the damage it does is actually not that impressive. And you've got the Leona for the engage, for the lockdown to get that Hemo Plague off. I wanted to see something mid which could, like a Victor or something, that could pump out the damage. Set into Oriana is one of those matches where Set's just going to sit there and take the abuse because he can just regen and ignore most of the damage. But is he going to put out the huge damage numbers that you want to amplify? Not really here. And so I feel like a lot of weight in this particular matchup is now on PBO's shoulders, along with Trucklax, neither of which have been those big carries for the team. PBO, a little underwhelming when you compare him to a lot of the other ADCs. And Trucklax, he's an amazing damage soak. He soaks up pressure like none other. But on the Vlad, he's gonna have to do more than just soak up pressure. He's gonna have to start dishing it.
Yeah, it's gonna be something that he's gonna challenge Trucklax, and honestly, Trucklax is somebody who I haven't really seen step up to the plate nearly as much as I'd expected to going into this season. It feels like he's been not slept on, but maybe caught sleeping a few times. And I'd like to see that turned around. So if this is the opportunity, if he has been performing well in scrims, I'd love to see that come out on stage. But right now, you're right. It seems like Cruzeiro's comp does have a little bit of anti-synergy in the way that the team fights actually play out. The thing is, you've got a lot of space to do that. Kaboom
Mhm.
also, oh, big hook might actually be kind of impactful here. Hawk with a nice aftershock
Oh.
will walk it out very, very, very nicely done. Professor could look for yet another one, but asserting his dominance early.
And it's interesting because Cruzeiro is getting a lot of support here, 70% roughly in favor of Cruzeiro taking this. I feel like it kind of ignores a lot of what we've seen this split. And I understand it is a fan vote here, but I
Mm.
thought Kaboom actually had a pretty big fan base.
Yeah, right. They're an old team. I mean, I guess Cruzeiro is an older team because of the whole football thing.
True, true.
Yeah, I see it. Maybe they got a lot of those football fans just tweeting. It would be cool because it counts hashtags, doesn't it?
I believe so. Yeah, the Go Kaboom and Go KBM and Go CRZ hashtags,
So
I believe.
so maybe Cruzeiro just get like this really big boost when it's also their game day on the football field. And like
True,
they
true.
just crush everyone else. Somebody Google if Cruzeiro is playing football right now. That's actually entirely possible.
Oh man, and I think that says a lot for allowance marketing. Then like that they
Yeah.
always win that, even when they go up against the likes of Cruzeiro and even when they go up against Flamengo, I think they still had more than 50% fan vote, which is kind of crazy because those are the two football teams. But for now, we are into League of Legends, not football. I don't think we're gonna have a ton of interaction in the sort of solo lanes here. Like I said, Setch is gonna soak up damage. Vlad is notorious for not doing anything early and just looking to scale. So odds are the camera's going to be looking at the bot side where they do like to fight with a Nautilus and Leona.
And you're really happy about that if you're Kaboom, because you've got vertical jungling initiated in your favor. Ryan has entirely cleared out
Oh.
Sting's bot side of the map, and the vision on him is immaculate, keeping him hemmed in. Right now, Ryan's heading towards the bot lane, and you don't expect this just yet as Cruzeiro flash hook does catch out
Oh.
Hawk, does have a flash of his own. No sleep to come in, because we are not at that point in the game yet. Does mean that he manages to escape with his life just burning down a little bit.
And I don't like what just happened in the bot lane. I understand it had to happen because Professor and Gisave were getting shoved in, but that wasn't a vertical jungle. That was Ryan actually sneaking in and stealing away the blue buff there. And Cruzeiro had no clue. But now that they saw the blue buff onto Ryan, they know it. And that's why we see Sting instantly rotating down here.
So Professor has no flash right now. He could just be
Oh.
dead. It's a
Yep.
unilateral advantage that is given over to Cruzeiro, and they pick that up with first blood.
And they can look to deny that red buff potentially away from Ryan as well. All they have to do is send Hawk in with Sting, and they win this here. And Ryan has to be very careful. You can, if the camera pan over, you can see that he's pulled it out kind of oddly a little bit
Hmm.
because he's scared. And until they managed to confirm that Sting was not coming in for the invade, Ryan wasn't sure they get it. So he is going to get a 3 buff,
It's
kind of
good.
even start a little bit, though gold is in favor of Cruzeiro.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about wanting to get your bot lane ahead. That's not what's happened right now. You burn a summoner, but you also get rid of Professor's life in trade for that. We're going to need to see, I want to say, more attention given to the bot lane. And I know it sounds weird to say because right now they are
Yeah.
technically a losing lane, but Kaboom Invest, they need to reinvest to make sure that goes right. Otherwise, it is just terrible for them.
Yeah, and not only is it just an investment, but in a way, it's sort of capitalizing on the initial investment there because Sting coming into that bot lane, it should already be won. So it should be a lot easier for him to pick up kills than to look, say, for a gank in the mid lane. I'm not even going to talk about the top lane because if you get a kill with that Vlad Hecarim combo on that Gnar, Weiser did something horrifically wrong.
Yeah, Desave, though, equally doing
Oh,
something
that late
horrifically
flash.
wly overextending. Forced to burn the flash and the cleanse right now.
Oh,
Almost eats deadly damage.
holy! And yeah, today it's just a day of changes of differences. I feel like here, Ryan actually didn't get any of those, but I expected Kaboom to be aggressive one, and I was actually thinking that Cruzeiro might be Kaboom's worst enemy in terms of being able to just soak up that pressure, dragging them to the mid game without giving up too big a lead. Because Cruzeiro is very passive and very good at soaking pressure, but that's not been the case whatsoever. It's Cruzeiro playing incredibly aggressive, and I love to see it here. It's not what I'm used to, but I ain't unhappy about it at all.
No, it seems like this is what they've been working on, and I want to see that continue to be used because
Mhm.
it's kind of easy with the inherent summoner spell disadvantage. I also equally for Cruzeiro imagine that you're going to be focusing a lot around this bot side, and that is going to favor them if they choose to take a dragon fight right now, as Ocean has
Ooh,
just spawned 30 seconds ago. Professor, he's fine.
okay.
Secret Agent Professor.
He's definitely roaming a ton here. I know I said that I expected him to leave the Save alone for quite a bit, but I mean, I was thinking maybe he picks up a pair of boots first at least, but no, Professor's just running bare feet all across the rift here. And it's not a bad choice when you're already behind in lane and you can't engage as the Nautilus that you go to look elsewhere for. And more importantly, he's not falling behind in levels, which I think is key.
Yeah, and he's not falling behind in vision either. Secures quite a bit of it, so they know Sting isn't in the area. And Kaboom seem like they're going to get a little bit of a free, well, a definitely free dragon. It's not a
Mhm.
little bit of a free dragon. This is certainly one. That's really big and kind of a Mia ping for me from Cruzeiro.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. The vision clearing was pretty obvious, and Sting actually even saw Professor clear out the vision there
Mm-hmm.
when he went all secret agent there. I was actually half expecting Sting to try and fight him because they had a numbers advantage, but they just give up first Drake for free. And I've said it before, I prioritize generally first Herald over first Drake. So if Cruzeiro have made that decision, then I want to see them contest the Drake. If they give both away for free, then I literally don't know what we're seeing because Cruzeiro's usually the team that doesn't make too many macro mistakes. Like they just sit back and try and play a clean game. When they do win, it's always almost that sort of stranglehold that they slowly pull out here. And this is not what we're seeing in this early game.
No, with gold being completely even, they do have one kill in their favor, but the dragon on the other side of that is going to provide some much needed regen to the members of Kaboom. especially, I feel like it would have been really, really nice for people like Nosferos and Trucklax.
Mhm.
But it's going to give you a little bit more lane dominance, and maybe even Desave and Professor will benefit off it. It's hard to say, given the all-in nature of that bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you can all in them, force them back, and you don't have to base it because you will slowly regenerate during that time. Once again, we're seeing the Professor Ryan combo really start early. We're not seeing Hawk move around with Sting just as much yet. They seem to be happy with that bot lane dominance. But as I say that, Hawk is going to start moving around here.
Okay, Ryan has hit 6 as well, which is big into Vladimir if he
Oh.
does get that sleep. This ward, though, is so crucial. Spots out both members in the top lane, and Trucklex should be able to play this totally safe.
There's no healing cut. Actually, I lie. Professor has Ignite here, so they might be able to pull it off. If they didn't have that, I think Trucklex can actually survive that 1v3 and even maybe pick somebody else on the back end. But this is what I'm concerned about. It is once again Kaboom making that move towards Herald and Cruzeiro, uncharacteristically of them, are just not completely not even there, not able to sort of take that lead whatsoever here. And Sting's just farming up camps instead.
Yeah, and he's not at a CS advantage either, just 52 to
No.
61 at the moment. And actually, if we look across the board, there's no real CS advantages developing anywhere but bot lane. And that's the one thing you're getting out of this right now, if you are Cruzeiro, is that at least Sting is near bot lane, and Desave can't actually walk up to farm right now.
I was wondering if they're actually going to initiate on that, but instead, oh, that Blastcon's going to get them in fighting distance, and they're just going to zone them.
Yeah, this is really nice. I mean, you're keeping Xayah down, and if you're not going to get something like a Rift Herald, if you're not going to get something like a Dragon, you will take a huge gold advantage onto your Kai'Sa.
I know last game we were talking about the fact like, oh, you trade 2 plates for Herald. It's roughly equivalent. I like that trade a bit better, but oh,
And they still go in right now. Desave burns
yeah.
his cleanse, Stings on the way in. Hawk tanks a bunch of turret shots but doesn't die.
Oh,
Importantly, PBO uses
yo,
the killer instinct to stay alive, and he's still up right now. He's going to burn down to the minions if he's not careful, though, and Weiser's looking for
no.
him. The boomerang finds him, and Kaboom find big kills in the bot lane.
Turn off the nameplates right now. It's Cruzeiro on the blue side. It's Kaboom on the red side.
It feels like that, right? The counter gank there was immaculately played by Kaboom.
And the way they just like Desave and Professor have been under fire the entire time. The patience to wait for that and to turn it on its head, all the advantages that they've slowly been accruing for PBO have just been flushed down the gutter right there. And Desave is not a player who doesn't know how to play with leads. He pumps out incredible amounts of damage. And I've personally been super impressed by Kaboom's lower side of map, specifically Everett and Desave, because before Wise and Ryan came on, they were the main carries. After Weiser and Ryan came on, they were still the main carries here. Weiser looks impressive, but it's Everett and Desave who have been slowly winning games. So I think that's a huge problem for Cruzeiro that they just let Desave join back into this game.
Yeah, it is going to be really tough for them. I think honestly though, RMC, I gotta take the opposite side. I think that if you're giving Xayah a little bit of gold, things could be a lot worse for you because she takes so ridiculously long to get online. The real problem right now is that Cruzeiro don't get too much for that, and they actually even up the gold in the bot lane quite a bit with that kill.
Pros and cons that they probably won't immediately get their faces shoved in by the feathers, but we'll have to see if it continues for now. Sting potentially getting caught.
You gotta burn that onslaught of shadows, but he's still asleep. Nosferos is gonna deny the rest of that engage, and Sting gets away just burning the ultimate, but that's actually pretty problematic. He can't continue to be proactive in the way that Cruzeiro seem to want to be.
Yeah. I mean, it on first glance, it's a 2-for-1, right? You burnt the Lilting Lullaby and the Shockwave, but that's fine because as you mentioned, it is Sting who needs to be proactive. Ryan is happy to just farm things up. That Lilting Lullaby trying to find catches right now isn't the priority. And look, immediately they start dragging because they burnt the ultimate from Sting here.
Man.
And their bot lane was pushing for a change.
I can't believe we're just over the 10-minute mark right now, and it seems like Cruzeiro do want to
Oh,
contest, but Ryan's
what?
gotten away with it. Just flashes over the wall, and Desave might have to be the sacrificial lamb. I'll be honest with you. Flash forward from Trucklax does pick up Professor here, and Desave next on the board. It seems doesn't have the heal, doesn't have the flash, and should just go down here. Trucklax picks it up with the double kill. Doesn't have the pool though, and does suffer his own shutdown at the hands of Weiser, who's now looking for more. Another boomerang would seal the deal on Nosferos, but the flash over the wall keeps him safe.
that great escape ran for so long, Weiser actually ran down from the top lane there. His teleport was already burnt previously. So yeah, you do lose to Save, but honestly, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I thought they lost
No.
Professor back end of that as well. They trade 1 for 1, and they get this pressure into the mid lane.
Wait, they did lose Professor.
Okay, yeah, he respawned.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
mind.
yeah. We're good. We're
Uh,
good. We're good. I think that the bigger thing, though, like you say, is this mid lane trade where they get another big injection of gold right now. Kaboom staying even in the gold despite those kills. And I think maybe even putting themselves a little bit ahead because of the neutral objectives and big tower chunk that they've been able to find in the mid lane.
when we talk about Kaboom struggling in the mid game, a lot of it has been coming off Weiser and Ryan not finding themselves a lead in the early game, and them often being the sort of primary initiators for the team, or not so much the primary initiator. That's usually Professor, but the follow up, basically not
Mm,
being there for Professor when he engages. Weiser is now 2-0-1.
he's got a
That sort of
defense under
yeah,
him.
he's gonna be able to match in a side lane against Trucklax, and he's gonna be, well, huge as Meganar in these team fights. He's gonna be able to follow up, and he's gonna feel comfortable doing so. So I feel like for Kaboom, even though they aren't necessarily finding a huge goal lead, they're in a very comfortable position where Everett and Desave can play on a budget. We saw that in weeks 1 to 2, and they got the gold where they needed it.
Oh, and we might have a little bit more of a gold injection right now as Lilting Lullaby will put Hecarim to sleep, but will actually get himself out with the Onslaught of
Ooh.
Shadows, instead trading over Professor's life as a Killer Instinct will seal the deal there. Sting picks up the kill of all people.
I'm not even too unhappy about that because the one game that Sting actually does quite a bit. Like last week, he played the Pantheon. Did he lose? Yes, but was it his fault? No. He
No.
found the lead, and he actually did manage to leverage them quite well there. So I
Uh,
think it's okay. Smite fight. Are we going to see it? No. Oh, it reset.
oh no, that's so tragic actually.
And Smite down. Sting didn't see it. Oh, they're
No.
so like if Sting had seen that, they'd have lost that. But now Desabe has to be careful. Featherstorm is still up, but a 3-man dive like this, we've seen it before.
Yeah, he does actually get caught by the pullback, and Desave nicely playing around this bot side turret does keep it alive. He's even looking for Hawk right now. Ryan's roaming down, and the Lilting Lullaby is not off cooldown just yet. It seems like Cruzeiro will get themselves to safety, but Desave holding his own, actually doing quite well in this bot lane, is catching up in farm, catching up in XP, and actually forces out 3 members of Cruzeiro.
I want to point out though that it looks like Desabe suddenly like just turned it on. Desabe is a monster. It's not actually true. The difference there was that he had his mythic and PBO didn't.
Yeah.
The Kraken Slayer is pumping out a lot of work. Now that PBO has picked up his own Kraken Slayer here, the power discrepancy is not going to look quite as strong, and Zaya still will need to skill up a little bit more before the Zaya is going to be able to match the Kaisa in team fights. But first turret goes down for the side of Kaboom, and I feel like it's still not a significant lead for Kaboom here, or really for either team so far.
But I want to see the individual player gold right now because first turret going over solo to Desave is actually really big. He's a big part of the win condition for Kaboom and a carry that needs a lot of gold to get off the ground. Right now, with that first gold injection, I see the light at the end of the tunnel for the Zaya pick.
The tunnel is long.
The tunnel
and,
is
the,
long.
and the games are fast. So we'll have to see whether or not it actually does hit that point. But so far, like I said, if you turn off nameplates, Kaboom has been pulling a great Cruzeiro impression. If there's one thing Cruzeiro is very good at, it's stalling games out. They lose a lot, but at the same time, they're not easy wins for their opposing
Mhm.
teams. They're often really painful, drag out sort of mud matches for the most part there. So in fact, if it goes on here, Desire will skill up, and it'll come down to whether Kaboom's fixed their decision making problems here in this particular week.
We gotta hope that they have because I do feel like they have been playing this early game really well. I'd
Mhm.
like to see them be able to go toe to toe in the mid game. It would kind of suck to see them fall apart. And right now, with being able to take that top lane turret, I'm getting pretty hopeful. I love this Gnar transformation though; it's so cute. This is one of my favorite skins, like the big plush dinosaur.
Deceptive. It's all bait here. It's a
That's true.
psychological war trick. So you think it's cute, but it's really not. Meganar is used. The dragon is started up. Teleport is available, but by the time Weiser gets there, he'll be mini. So I don't think for the side of Kaboom they want this. Just push your lanes, try and get some chip damage. I think is your best option here.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to get a lot of vision in topside jungle as well, just to protect Weiser because he's such a potent split push force right now with the Divine Sunderer that he's actually just
Oh,
taking
wow.
out turrets. This turret might go down, but with Nosferus arriving, it might be a little bit harder. Wiser can side lane this, but they have the vision. You see Hawk Sting roaming up, you know you got to get out.
I love the lane assignments. They also sent Everett down to the bot lane to split push. You don't usually see the Orianna split push, but with the teleport and with the pressure they're putting top lane, they were pretty confident that Everett can farm that one up here. So I said chip damage. That what Wiser did to the top lane was not chip damage. That was legitimately a threat to the turret.
Yeah, that was what is it? Miley Cyrus levels of chip damage done to the top lane tower. And now Wiser is in an even better position to continue doing that. 17 minutes gives us about 2 minutes left, actually, as we crest the 18-minute mark, till this Baron comes up. And before then, there's no topside objective to be taken. Wiser loses his bot lane turret, but it seems like the rotation is coming a little bit early.
So far, the one thing we haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
is the big team fights. For the side of Kaboom, they're dropped with a Meganar, with an Orianna, and with a Zaya. They're looking for big team fights. Zaya is one of the biggest team fight ADCs here. That Blade Call with all the feathers there can do more damage in a team fight than I think Kaisa actually can later on in the game. And oh, topside Nosferus.
Imagine if you get a pick right now. Ghost does get popped, but this guy is so knocked up, so asleep, that he's forced to burn the flash to get away. Nosferus barely surviving in the top lane. It does take two ultimate investments, though, and that is something that you don't want to be missing around any fights that may occur, these big team fights that we talked about.
They burned the teleport out of Everett as well. So
Mm.
it's a lot of things burnt, but frankly, it's worth the investment because that turret that Weiser started is about to be finished off. And it's not so much for the gold, it's for vision denial. Baron coming up in a minute, and your top side, you've lost the inner turret, your mid is about to go under siege. Cruzeiro can't actually get out there
They
to
don't.
get the vision down.
They don't get the mid lane either. That is so rough for them.
Yeah, like I like that Cruzeiro is being proactive. It's a new look for them. I like it, but you can tell that there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done in terms of their macro play when they're playing aggressively at this point. For them too, their team fight is going to be interesting. Like we already mentioned, they've got the Leona, they've got the Vladimir, you've got the onslaught of shadows from Sting, and maybe he's the sort of AoE damage they're looking to try and multiply here. So they've got some tools for the AoE, and I do suspect that is what they are looking to do with the dive from PBO as well. And I want to see if they can actually pull it off because both teams, I feel like that is their sort of win condition. They're definitely not winning the split push.
No, it is going to be very, very much about how these fights play out. And Desave, I know that he hasn't really stood out right now, has been very much quietly farming up in the background, but that's exactly what I want from Isaiah, and it seems like he knows
Yeah.
his way around the champion. I dare to have hope in this champion, I say. As I may very soon regret those words, but as of right now, the disappointment that I felt at the initial lock-in has sort of faded away into the background as I do see the 2 item mark crested. I see Desave positioning appropriately, not dying constantly, and I think that has a big, or that has big, what is it called? Onus, that thankfulness to the fact that we haven't actually seen team fights yet.
And so it's like a lot of tension build up.
Yeah.
Yeah, go back to your dislike of Zaya. I'm not sure why. Today is Valentine's Day, isn't it? So, oh no, tomorrow is
Tomorrow.
Valentine's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? You're not single. I am. Should I be the one annoyed at Zaya and Rakan right now?
That's true. Imagine having such a good relationship that you can come onto the rift and fight to the death together. That's the kind of relationship that I think we're all looking for.
Maybe that's why you don't like Zaya because there's no Rakan right now. It's with Nautilus.
That's
Zaya,
true.
you
That's
want
true.
Rakan with Titan from the deep.
It does not feel right. The other thing that doesn't feel right is Shelly just straight up running it down mid, as I guess that was running out and Kaboom wanted to use it, but that's the first big misstep right now. Big flank from Wiser, completely unspotted on vision at the moment. Is going to get spotted right there, but the sandwich is in full effect. PBO is forced to use the killer instinct to involve himself in the fight, but Nosferus caught out all alone, gets nothing done with the Haymaker, and now Cruzeiro find themselves lacking a member with 10 seconds left on the Dragon, and Kaboom are looking for more.
Abandon this. And I actually loved how that played out. So we were focused on Wiser, like everybody was on that initiate. He got caught without the rage bar. It was bait. He was still safe. What we didn't really catch on camera was Ryan putting Sting to sleep. That's why we didn't see the onslaught of shadows.
Yeah, the actual ability for her to shut people down right now. Wiser though has gone mega,
He's
about
mad.
to go mini right now. There's no killer instinct left. And Hawk is going to choose to initiate here. Eclipse buys him a lot of time. Big shockwave in the backline doesn't catch PBO, but Trucklax is dealing equal damage there. Almost takes out Desave. Barely stays alive as Everett does go down. Ultimately, Desave cannot involve himself in this fight, and it is going to be a pick for a pick.
That went a lot better from Cruzeiro than I was expecting. The Save, though, has to be careful. Sting, you're getting baited. Don't
Sting.
do it.
I'm so scared for everybody right now. There's so many slows on the side of Kaboom as well, but Cruzeiro can continue to press this.
We're there.
They've got a lot of movement speed, and there's not a lot of health bars on the other side. Kaboom.
Oh,
Ryan should go down here. The last auto doesn't find him, and Desave still able to pump out damage from the backline. Finds the trade back. Weiser with a snipe. Takes out Hecarim. And PBO, last one to be chased down. Hawk is kind of an afterthought right here. There's the double kill for Weiser as he does find the boulder toss. Kaboom, weirdly enough, they kite that out, they win that fight, and, well, they find themselves a dragon as well.
you ninjas, man. You can't over chase like that. It's such a. I understand wanting to chase, but Wiser, his pacing is so good there. You want to kill Desave, but you've got to run past Wiser, and just his ability to constantly hop around, get out, and pump out the damage is just so. It's such a detriment right now for Cruzeiro. It's really
Oh my
costing them this.
god.
Even now, Trucklax feels like he's strong, but look at that. Wiser goes mega, and his health bar felt like it tripled there.
That was actually really crazy when he popped over the wall to deny the blue buff contest. Wait, Weiser's actually a huge brain gamer.
Like, this is the Wiser that you want to see, and this is why I was saying that okay, Kaboom haven't got a big lead. On paper, it doesn't look great considering that when they don't have a big lead, they often seem to struggle a little bit in the mid game. But they got the gold on the person who mattered. They got it on Wiser, and this is what happens when Wiser is confident. He goes 5-0-3. He handles 1v4s like none other. We I mean, week one, week three, his first game. Oh no, that was Parang, never mind, who survived the 1v5. But Wiser, putting on his Korean carry pants here, and he's putting on a
Yeah.
great Parang impression.
Yeah, Weiser and Desave both have some of the most gold on the side of Kaboom. And Desave, somebody who I was really questioning early on the season, week one, week two, he had the most gold percentage of his team, but wasn't doing anything with it. And I feel like that has really turned around coming into this halfway point of the split right now, that he's been able to not only pick up the most gold, but also be able to pump out that equal amount of damage.
Believe after week one there, his ratio of gold to damage was the third highest, which is a negative stat. You want it low here. It was the
Mm.
third highest after BRTT at number one, unfortunately, and Matsukaze at number two. So it's a huge turnaround from week one here, and he's been absolutely critical in that last fight too. The way he was kiting out was beautiful to watch. I mean, he wasn't baiting quite as hard, but that's not his job to bait. His job is
Mhm.
to survive and pump out damage, and he's done just that.
Yeah, we're gonna see how Cruzeiro adapt right now. They're getting another mid lane push here, which I can only assume is to secure more vision around this Baron, but they aren't actually getting anything done on the map right now. It seems like the surprise Baron call is their one hope. World Seed doesn't quite spot it out, but they're all just hanging out. I'm not sure what's happening. It's a party.
Yeah, they clearing vision, which is what they need to do, but they have to be careful. They don't have the inside track. And look at what Weiser's doing. He's pushing in the wave right now. Now they started up. Now things are gonna get spicy.
And Trucklex has the teleport. Weiser just ran out of the Meganar, so there's no better time to start this as Cruzeiro. But Weiser's still focusing on this flank and playing this slow arc of boom. Cruzeiro, they see that. They know they can't actually take this.
Oh no. And while that was happening too, Trucklax actually stepped back to try and get a better teleport positioning. Oh, is he gonna get punished? No, he's Vladimir. What am I
No.
Cyber He's but I mean, normally what you want to do is you want to keep pushing, right? You saw
Mhm.
Weiser rotate out. Either you go and match Weiser in the rotation, or you push down to the bottom, push out that wave as far as you can. Trucklax sat back so he could teleport, and he didn't teleport. So they lost pressure. And Kaboom in that 4v4, their nerve failed. And I don't blame them because I don't think you'll win that 4v4. They didn't have enough damage to burn down Baron. And you've got to disengage from Nosferus. But if he disengages, it has to be for Baron. He will die if he does that showstopper.
Yeah, this is a very, very tight spot that Cruzeiro have been put in, and I feel like they know it as much as we do. Can't quite find that low percentage play even to get their way out of it. As KBM are continually investing, you see that teleport burns to keep putting on the Vice script that they have on this game. Cruzeiro do start up the Dragon. KBM could find their team fight right here. Trucklex is on a flank. Professor goes in as the Dragon falls. Very low is this man. Desave uses the Featherstorm, but then gets pushed right back into the middle of the team. Does go down, the first member to fall. Huge floating lullaby finds 4, and Wiser with the wallop finds 2 right now. Nosferus still on his way out. The damage just is not there for KBM right now, and Wiser is caught in the middle of a team fight with nothing to do. Takes out Hawk at the moment, but Trucklax, big flash forward, finishes off a member, might even finish off the rest of them. Goes golden, oddly enough, but Nosferus with the haymaker doesn't quite find Everett. Trucklax waltzes his way under the turret to clean that up, and Cruzeiro find their team fight as Sting does get traded back in the end.
KBM lost that fight, but it's Cruzeiro who can't find anything because Wiser alone is enough to dissuade 3 low health members. That was an excellent, excellent fight from Cruzeiro. And we get the replay. And watch the positioning. Watch Desave being the biggest problem. He steps up and that beautiful Solar Flare catches him. Yeah, you do the Featherstorm, but Sting's patience to go around from the flank means that this fight should have been over here. The fact that they don't lose more on the back end of it is solely on Wiser. Wiser is zoning off 4 members by himself. And I should probably point out Trucklax as well, because Trucklax quietly has been pressuring out. He was basically doing his the equivalent of Wiser
Yeah.
in this fight here, zoning out the back line, finding kills in the back.
I'm so surprised that we do see the team fight go this way, but it's off of that
Yeah.
big miss position from Desave, and I mean we'd been singing his praises just before. It feels like a little bit of caster curse that right after that, the first team fight that we see, he does misunderstand his positioning, and without that extra source of damage, without that safety, KBM fall apart.
Now I feel like I'm watching KBM versus Cruzeiro. Cruzeiro, the way they just soaked the pressure, that right there in that fight was precisely what we're used to seeing. Sting does manage to secure the red buff there, so Ryan gonna walk away empty-handed from that engage. But they, even though Cruzeiro won that fight, they still need to continue playing well. They are still down in a hole. The kill score is not really telling the full story, and Baron is on the table. The good news is Trucklax is scaling up and has started to become that sort of team fighting monster you do expect from Vladimir. And as long as they take the Save out, Cruzeiro actually have more than enough damage to clean up the fight.
Yeah, both top laners still do have the teleport. Wiser maybe looking for a small engage. Does find Hawk here and is trying to force that fight or flight. Big hook in, and they might just find this pick before anything happens as Hawk melts.
Just thinking back to, the fact that you like this plush Nar skin, and everything was fun and games right up to the moment it wasn't. Like he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm toy little boomerangs, I'm a cute little plush, and then he becomes a mega plush, and then suddenly Hawk just disappeared.
Not so fun anymore, is it? Does mean that Wiser is going to be pushing down this mid lane right now, as he does not have the Mega Gnar available just yet. They can't actually take a team fight, but KBM seems to not think so. Professor still looks for that hook.
Yeah, they're zoning, right? That's just a bit of a 4v4, 5v4 situation there.
Hmm.
They were just buying time for the Mega Gnar to start becoming available for Wiser once again here. And I love what they're doing. Notice they don't hit the ward. So it's completely dark right now. And only now do they know it's being done.
Yeah,
Sting, can
there's
he?
a control ward over the wall. Sting still has the Onslaught of Shadows and could look for the steal. Wiser is the one that, I don't know, I see needing to stop this, but Sting going over doesn't find it anyway, as the smite does get used. Nosferus also doesn't find the suplex, and the Haymaker basically goes wide. Trucklax is in the middle of your team, but can't quite find the damage, and PBO finally manages to finish off a kill onto Professor. If that's all you get, well, that just might be it for Cruzeiro. Wiser very well playing around the sides here. This guy wants to take the 1v3, but it doesn't seem like Cruzeiro want to.
Mini Nar 1v3. It's not even Mega Nar either. Like this is disgusting, man. I think there's zero question in my head right now that Wiser is going to be MVP. There's almost nothing one can do at this point to change my mind. Everett would have to hit multiple 5-man ultimates and steal a Baron for me to change my mind. That's like how far ahead I feel like Wiser is in this MVP race. And Trucklax in that fight, he found a kill on Professor, but Professor was going to die anyways. But the amount of damage he did on Everett and Desabe was disgusting. He zoned them out and live to tell the tale. So rather than PBO right now, I think Cruzeiro needs to play around Trucklax. He's the one who's really
Mm.
turning these fights. And so far, we're still not seeing, aside from that one single solo. Scare me for a second when Weiser shrank after running in.
Yeah. Sorry, but he's the one that we've seen turn in fights, and I could not agree more. Right now, PBO can kind of take care of himself, even if it is just using that killer instinct to join in with everybody else. But Trucklax is the one that needs to be enabled. Unfortunately, Hawk is the one that's getting picked on right now, as he's constantly being hooked in. There's no flank right now. It's a straight up front to back. Hawk's already half health. And unfortunately, the Void Seeker does go wide. Kaboom are fully zoning right now, and Nosferus is just getting whittled down on the side. Weiser goes in, gets suplexed right back out, but it's a very scary Gnar position. Does get taken down. PBO goes over the wall to avoid the sleep. Hawk gets taken down. In the meantime, Ryan finds a little bit more damage as Trucklax still getting zoned out. A double kill goes over to Everett. PBO, not long for the world, does find Ryan, but the flash forward from Everett cleans him right back up, and Trucklax goes down to Weiser on the side. Kaboom, find the ace, and now they might just be looking to find the game. It's 33 minutes in, and they're cracking the base.
40 seconds of Baron here. They get this inhib, no question. And I think they can get Nexus turrets. 15 seconds for Nosferus and Hawk, but the ultimates are not available. And without that ultimate right now, Nosferus is tank set. He does absolutely nothing here. They could just end the game.
Yeah, Kaboom are just going for this, and it is well earned. They play this game to perfection and take down Cruzeiro.